All right. So today I'm going to be going over the California district system. Um, and I'm going to be specifically talking about what the district model is and what how the California district system will look like, given the information we've been given at this time. So end of May. Um, I gave this presentation in person on 28th of May, but if you missed it or have questions, things like that, you want to refer back to something, hear me explain it, you can refer back to the video. This one's going to have a lot less memes than the one I gave in person, which was a little bit more fun. Um, so the district model, what is a district model? The district model is a way of competing that's not through the regional system, but it's through the district system. And there's a bunch of districts across the world, a bunch of states, Israel, as well as certain geographic regions. So it'll be like Mid Atlantic, the Pacific Northwest, New England, things like that. And you're ranked relative to all the teams within that district in one giant list. So if there's 100 teams in your state, there's 100 teams included in that. Um, there's two types of events called the district qualifier event and the district championship event. Um, the only way to qualify to world championships is through that district championship, and by going through the district system. So you cannot go outside of your district. You can't go to a regional in Vegas and Arizona, whatever. Um, try to qualify there. And right now they're telling us district events are going to be on 30, 60, 40 teams. So at Ventura this year, there was like 53 something teams. That's not intended to happen anymore. Cost wise, the initial registration cost is meant to be around $6,000, and then that gets you for two events. So in theory, it's supposed to be cheaper. But if you go to the district championship, it's an extra $4,000, comes out to around $10,000. Right now, we pay $4,500 for each regional, so it's technically a little bit more expensive. Um, and then, if we qualify through uh, champs, we have to register after district champs, and then if we qualify to the district champs a little late, for example, we don't know that we've qualified or not, that window is kind of short, right? And so logistics wise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So we should keep that in mind in terms of when we select the events we go to. The essence of the district model is similar to how the regional model worked this past year. So over the course of your season, you gain points and you accumulate points, and through those points, it determines your district champs eligibility as well as your Houston championship eligibility. Um, as I said, you're not allowed, or you are allowed to compete in out of district events, but you can't compete for championship eligibility. So you can win an event, you can win impact at a different regional, but if you're part of a district, it doesn't matter. And then you're allowed to compete in more than two district events, but only your first two district events count towards the points. So this kind of makes it a little bit more fair for teams who can go to more events versus those who can't. Um, and then FRClogs.com is a website that we'll be using next year to look at the different championship points and the district points and see who's qualified, who's looking to qualify, how many points we'll need, things like that. So that'll be a lot on the strategy team to look at. But it's very interesting, right, to see what teams are doing well within California. Um, we're going to be talking about the points now. So um, very similar to how the regional model worked in terms of if you do well, you'll get more points, right? But there's quite a few formulas that go into it. Doesn't really matter. We just throw this into Desmos and kind of deal with it. But qualification round. So this is your ranking after all your qual matches. There's a maximum of 22 points and a minimum of 4 points. So the higher you rank, the more points you get. Um, Alliance captain. So you get the same amount of points for being an alliance captain as being a first pick. Um, and the point number is 17 minus the alliance captain number. So 16 points for the first captain, 15 points for the second captain, so on and so forth, until you get down to 9 points. And this incentivizes accepting over gambling. So what I mean by that is, in the past, there were teams that gambled on, oh, we're gonna decline and we're gonna try to form our own stronger alliance because we have a better shot at winning. Now teams might more decide to choose, hey, we're just gonna get, the 5 point difference or whatever it is, and then we'll deal with, you know, even if we get eliminated earlier, that point difference might be worth it for some teams, right? The next one is okay. So draft order acceptance. If you're a first pick, this doesn't matter. This is pretty much the same as an alliance captain. But for a second pick, it's your alliance number. So if you get picked as the first or the second pick of alliance 2, then you'll get 2 points. Not a lot of points, but hopefully you make it deep into the playoffs. The playoffs performance is your last performance-based metric. Again, um, so the DE points formula down here is the formula, double elimination points. That's what it stands for. Again, don't have to know the formula, but basically, um, you get however many points for participating in the playoffs, right? But the caveat here is you need to win at least 2 matches in your playoffs in order to qualify for points. So, the reason why I say that is, uh, a lot of years we've made it to playoffs but instantly lost out or won 1 match and then lost out. And so that would not qualify you um, for the playoffs, right? So this bracket I have highlighted up here. This is a normal bracket, I think, from some competition I took. And if your team number shows up in this green area, then you get points. Um, but you have to make it there to get points. Oh, this is, I think, from Aerospace Valley in 2024. And then if you sub out, if we break and we have to bring in another robot or vice versa, we are the ones that are getting subbed in, then you get the points for that. The next big thing is awards. So, um, I'll say Impact is nerfed, in that Impact is a straight 10 points. So winning Impact does qualify you, auto qualify you to the district championship, but in terms of points, it's just 10 points, right? And the reason why that matters is if you don't win Impact at your district champs, those 10 points are going towards your total points that'll be used to determine if you can go to Houston or not, right? So any point counts. Enduring inspiration is 8 points, and every other award is 5 points. So I think in the past there's been this sense of, oh, if we don't win impact or EI, it doesn't really matter because none of these other awards get you to Houston. Well, now spirit, imagery, creativity, all those awards are half the number of points as impact, right? Um, so I think it begins to matter a lot, and we should really be trying to go for every single award we can. The team age is something that doesn't matter, but if you're a rookie team or a newer team, you get some points. And then the tiebreakers. So this doesn't really matter. But in the case of, let's say, there's 1 spot left for district champs, the cutoff was 70 points. So there's 3 teams that are at 70 points, right? How do you find which one actually gets to go? That's the tiebreaker. So we've talked about how you can get points. Let's talk about how you can qualify to the district championship. So the only award that automatically qualifies you to the district championship is the first impact award at a qualifier event. This instantly qualifies you. So if you win week one impact, then you instantly know you're going to be at the district champs. You have that kind of security, right? Um, and the same works, if you qualify at the last week, still auto qualifies you, right? Um, and then everything else is through the district points. So in any district model, the top X teams in a district get invited to the district championship. This year, it's been the end of week 5. We don't know exactly the timeline next year, but we have to be in these top X teams in order to get invited. Now, if you did really, really well at your first event, you might know that you're going to basically get into district champs. Maybe you're like, hey, as long as we're ranked, 30 or above, and we win some minor award, we're gonna be okay. And then let's say you did really well in your first one, you kind of have an idea that you'll do well. So, that you can have that kind of security. Uh, and then enduring inspiration and rookie all star. This one's very important. qualifies you to the district championship to compete for the award only. So what this means is you'll get an interview slot, and whoever our team representatives are, they will either have a remote judging session, or they'll go up to the district championships and present the award, present for the award and compete for it. But we cannot play as a team, right? The robot cannot appear. Um, And then at the district championships, it's basically just a larger district event. So you get the same points, the structure is exactly the same. But the caveat again is there's a ×3 multiplier to all points that you accumulate at the district championship. So what this means is even if you don't do super well at your district events, right? Let's say you went to 2 district events, the performance you show at the district championship is worth more than your qualifier events. Obviously, you have to get there in the first place, but once you get there, right, the performance at the district championship matters a heck of a lot more than anything else you do in the season. Winning Impact, EI, Rookie All Star, or winning the district champ outright qualifies you to Houston, but everything else is through the point system. And the other caveat is you can only compete for Engineering Inspiration and Impact if you win them at the district qualifier. So we've explained the Engineering Inspiration situation, but it's similar with Impact, where you're competing basically against the 8 teams who've won Impact at the district qualifier events. So even if we qualify through points, if we didn't qualify through Impact, we can't compete through Impact. Okay. Now we're going to transition to talking about the California district. So everything I presented before is the same across all the districts. So same in Texas, same in the Pacific Northwest, same in Israel, right? But this is now we're going to be talking specifically about California district. So who can play next year? Non-California district teams. So, for example, teams from like the Pacific Northwest, Texas, Israel, those places, they can play, but we don't anticipate to be able to because there's not a lot of space for them, and it would really just be practice for them. And regional teams cannot play. So teams from foreign countries like Turkey, Taiwan, right? We have friends from those teams. Teams from Hawaii, teams from Las Vegas. None of them can play at the California district events next year. Since events are smaller, as in the number of teams are smaller, match turnarounds are typically quicker. It's around 15-20 minutes. So if you remember back to a competition we had this year, maybe the longest turnaround we had was an hour, maybe hour 15. That's going to be like 40 minutes, right? And then each district qualifier event is going to have a 2.5-day schedule. So they actually tried this at the San Francisco regional this year. But this is what the schedule looks like. It's a lot more brutal. Day 1, you're going to be loading in around 4 p.m. and you're going to be going till 10 p.m. It's going to be load in, inspection, practice matches. So 10 p.m., right? The first night, you're ending at 10 p.m. Second day, you're bright and early at 8 a.m. And we finish up practice matches, inspection, things like that, until 10 a.m. After that, we have qual matches, right? We go till 8 p.m. on this day. So, in the past, we ended at 6 p.m. on the second day. We're going till 8 p.m., right? And then day 3 is the same pretty much schedule as we've had in the past. Maybe shifted a little bit later, but day 3 is pretty similar. So the schedule's a lot more brutal and not as much time. The California district, because there's a lot of teams, there's going to be 2 district championships. So there's going to be a Southern California and a Northern California. We are competing against the other teams in the Southern California region for the district championship. But once district championships are over, we are competing against the rest of California to determine who gets to go to Houston. This means that the district championship is really only used to accumulate points And there's upsides and downsides to it. So I think generally there's stronger teams in Northern California, but in Southern California, because there's weaker teams, it might be easier to gain more points, right? Than had you been inserted into the Northern California district champs. So ups and downs, um, but that's the system. Um, and then for the California district, we can play anywhere we want. Any team can play anywhere they want. Regardless of if you're based in Southern California, Northern California, you can play wherever you want. Now, this means we can go up to San Francisco, we can go down to San Diego, we can be in Fresno. Same thing. 1678 could also decide to come down to LA, right? Um, so it might be tempting to think about, oh, what events are strong teams not going to be at, or try to find a way around that. um Other teams can move as well. So uh just because we're trying to avoid people doesn't mean other people aren't trying to avoid other people, right? So it will be a trade-off. um so as I mentioned, California has two district championships, and this is pretty much um there there's a border, so I'll show in the next slide. But the border is pretty much north of San Luis Obispo, and any team above that is in the NorCal. Any team below that is Southern California. Um, and there's estimated to be just around 300 teams in the California district. I think it was just over 300 this year, so they're estimating just north of 300. And then there's 60 spots, 60 spots for the SoCal District Championship. So if you're not um, top 60 teams in Southern California, you're not making it to District Champs. And then California is going to be allotted around 45 spots to Houston. Now, this 45 number is determined based on this formula that's in the game manual. Basically, it's some kind of ratio of the number of teams you have and the number of spots at championship. So, um, if they use the same formula, it's going to be around 45. Now, this doesn't include this 45 number does not include pre-qualified teams. So, Robo Nerds in LA are pre-qualified to the 2025 championship because they're first finalist, right? Um, Madtown is also pre-qualified because they won. So those teams are not included in that 45. So technically we'd be sending 47 teams, but however, this 45 number does include the 6 teams that have won the two district championships, right? So 3 times 2, and then the cultural awards. So by cultural awards, I mean Impact, Rookie All Star, and Engineering Inspiration. That comes out to 8 teams across the two district championships. So really, this means across the 45 teams, that's 14 spots already reserved for winners. Um, that leaves us with 31 spots. Now, historically, California has sent 60 teams over the past, 3-4 years. Um, this does not mean, right, 30 teams just can't go who have gone. This really means maybe 15, 20 teams are the same from California, but there's going to be 10 new teams because the system changes. Teams with different strategies on the way they approach their robot are going to be rewarded more, and some teams will be penalized more, right, for the way they approach their robot. So with those kinds of teams, you'll have like 10ish. I'm expecting around 10ish teams that'll be different that come from California to Houston. So this is the map I've been talking about. This orange region is NorCal, and this yellow region is SoCal, right? In 2025, there were 151 teams in SoCal and 140 in NorCal. Um, and they're trying to uh, spread out the district qualifier events. So they want to have 16 in California. Um, and to give you a little bit of background, there were 12 California regional events, right? So there's expected to be um, more events, but it is what it is. Hopefully they can find venues. They haven't told us where the venues are going to be. Holden and I think uh, they're going to move away from large venues like Del Mar Fairgrounds or Ventura, that warehouse, uh, that Port Wainimi location. So that might be true. We'll see. Uh, at each district event, there's going to be two Dean's List semifinalists. So same as current. Um, there's going to be one Impact winner, one EI, and Rookie All Star. Again, I'm reiterating, if you win Impact, you can compete with your robot at the district championship. But if you win EI or Rookie All Star, you can only compete for the award. They're trying to spread out the district qualifiers, so it's 8 in NorCal and 8 in SoCal. Um, Hopefully they can get to that, right? Um, and then the next is the district championship. So they haven't announced where it'll be, but it'll be somewhere in Southern California. And there they'll hand out two Impact Awards, one EI and Rookie All Star. Winning these allow you to compete as a full team at Houston. So for example, an EI team, right? They win EI at their district event. They don't get in through points, so they go in through the interview. They win the interview. Um, they can compete as a full team at Houston. So if we are in that scenario, right? Don't give up on the robot. They're expecting around 4 Dean's List finalists at the district championship and 1 to 2 Woody Flowers finalists. So, California has sent 12 Woody Flowers finalists because we had 12 regional events. Now it's going to be a maximum of 4, 2 to 4. And then, as I said, top 60 teams in each region go to each district championship. So, yeah, that's the border there. I think the northernmost teams in Southern California is 973 Greybots. So off the top of my head, if I list out um, some famous teams in the Southern California district or the Southern California region for the district championship, would be something like 973 Greybots, High Tide 4414, Epic Robots 4415. Holy Cows 1538, Mubotics, Code Orange, Vitruvian, things like that. All right. So this is just a flowchart explaining what I've kind of recapping. So you compete at 2 district events. Certain awards qualify you straight to the district championship. Some only qualify you for the award. And then the top 60 teams compete. Again, important to note, there's 2 district championships going on at once. So yes, you might do super well in your district championship, but maybe those points aren't enough. And then, as I said, that those lists combine into one list that go to the championship. So 45 teams from California total, not including the pre-qualified teams. So I think there's around 2 or 3 pre-qualified teams from California. So as I've listed again, we're competing basically among 30 spots, assuming we don't win, Impact or EI or win the district champs outright, just because those will auto qualify you. And then another important thing to note is starting next year, championship will be 2 weeks later than in 2025. So we think it'll end around May 2nd, which is right before your APs. So that's going to be a little bit difficult and kind of a big change. But hopefully we can all adapt. There are sports teams, right, that have stuff right before APs, so hopefully we can adapt. Um, Not sure if I mentioned this at the top, but this presentation is not intended to um, talk about a recommendation on how we should qualify, what kind of awards we should go for, what our season strategy should be, things like that. The strategy team and the mentors and leadership team will look at it and will present our approach later on. I'm going to just quickly go through kind of our historical data and kind of go through, hey, would we have qualified, would we have not? So okay, let's start with 2025 Rescape, right? This year, we gained, I think, like 54 points total. No, 64 points, sorry, total. Um, Throughout the district. Again, we don't know what the um, the thresholds will be, because that is ranked based on, the relative performance of everyone else in your district. So perhaps 64 points would have qualified us, to the district championship. Might not have. Doesn't matter because we won impact, so we auto qualified. Um, just as a stats wise, we were 29th in Southern California, so we probably would have qualified to the district championship. But we were 64th in California. So in a theoretical world where there is no district championship, we would not have qualified to Houston. And the other caveat is if we performed at the district championship like we did at championship, we would not qualify. Um, you know, championship was 2 weeks earlier than it would have been, so maybe we would have, evolved more. But again, you have to also think everyone else is evolving and iterating, right? Um, let's talk about 2024 crescendo. We won a total of 37 points across the season. Didn't make it into playoffs. We won some awards, but again, we won impact, so that qualifies you to the district champs. Important to note that both of them were week 6 wins, so that could be a little difficult logistically, right? Um, okay, 2023 charged up. I think we won around 67 points that season, if my math is correct. Again, we were eliminated one and two in playoffs, right? We won one match, lost two, so we didn't get any playoffs matches, any playoff points. Sorry, in those match in that season as well. But again, we won impact, so we would have qualified to the district champs, in week 2 because we won in week 2. So, still impact, right? And then 2022 is where we get something interesting. So in 2022, we actually got a pretty sizable number of points. So we won, I think, like 89 points across the season. That definitely would have put us um in the running for the district championship, like 100%. Uh, and we also won EI, right? So we would have been eligible to compete for EI at the district champs, um, as well as just competing with the robot. So this is a case where, uh, I keep stressing that EI doesn't qualify you to play for the robot based on, the award alone. It does not. But, if those 8 points help you to be in the top 60 and you can go to district champs, then great. You can play with your robot. And another thing to note is, in 2022, it was still the single elim playoff bracket. So um, the playoff points are a little bit wonky, because it was basically a flat number of 5, 10, 20. But not to worry, we still got some points, right? Because we made it deep enough. Um, so that kind of is the breakdown of how we've done so far. That's the end of my presentation. Um, Again, we don't really know where the events will be. Uh, I'm thinking a lot of the school events or school regionals are probably going to remain. But again, we don't know, right? So first is working with regional directors all across California to come up with a plan, and they'll share more details later. But even if we can't plan for exactly which event we're going to go for, we can have a good metric going into it. So um, that is pretty much it for my presentation. This is gonna be on YouTube, so put it in the comments if you have questions. I'll try to answer it, or ping me on Teams or whatever. But that has been the overview of the California District. This is here to stay, so hopefully we get used to it, and hopefully we learn to take advantage of the quirks in the system and do well. And that's all. So thank you for watching.